So a couple of things that are going to be happening tonight. We're going to be nominating for president, treasurer, and sub-varsity assigning secretary. We're going to be nominating those guys tonight. We're going to be getting an update on some visitation stuff for Greg that Mike is going to come up. And Mike, you can go ahead and do that because those guys, they may not know Greg. So we can get that going.
Y'all should have all got this on an Arbiter email that we sent out, but as you know, Greg passed away, I think, Saturday morning sometime or late Friday night. He had been moved to New Mexico to be with his mother and sister for the care that they could give him, and something happened that weekend, and he had to go to the hospital, and that decision was made that he was in on, that they would bring in hospice, and he'd be under hospice care. And then, of course, after that, he didn't last very long. As you know, Greg had some terminal brain cancer tumors, and he fought that for a long time. And one of the things that he wanted to do, one of the last things he wanted to do, was he wanted to see his kids graduate high school and get into college. So he was able to see that. Trevor was the youngest, and he was able to see Trevor get into college, and Victoria was in college. Brooks had already graduated. Brooks got married and had already graduated and moved away. But Greg was able to hang on and fight till he saw Trevor get into college that he was very, very thrilled about. His other son, Tanner, is married and lives in, it just slips me, it's like the Philippines or something. It doesn't say Philippines, but I think that's one of the closest countries. Greg worked for a time at Colonial Hills in their youth department. Say it again? In the children's department, that's right. At Colonial Hills Baptist Church out on Broadway, and that's where the memorial will be held. The visitation is at 1. The memorial is at 2, and that's this Wednesday, at Colonial Hills. We as a chapter, I hadn't talked to many people about this, but we certainly want to do something to honor that, and I don't think we've quite decided what to do yet because don't really know. Been in touch with some of his family. They're still kind of scattered, some in New Mexico, some here, some other places, because the kids that went to college are all off somewhere, like in other states, Illinois and places like that. But certainly we will figure out something to do to honor Greg. For those of you that hadn't been around very long, Greg was a member of this chapter for over 40 years, and he was the assigning secretary, varsity assigning secretary, twice during that time, and just very instrumental in the progress of the chapter, some of the really great successes that the chapter started out and had through the years. Knew tons of people, and tons of people knew him all over this state and in other conferences, and very instrumental in the Tyler chapter's success. Greg and I worked on a crew for 20-something years together, and had some great times together during that time. So we certainly want to continue to keep Greg's family in our prayers and thoughts. Difficult time. They knew this was coming, but of course it is difficult when it actually happens. If anybody has any ideas, especially any of you more veteran guys, about what we might do, certainly would be open to listening to that. But if you can make it out to Colonial Hills Baptist Church, 7330 South Broadway at 1 to 2 o'clock on Wednesday, I think that'd be a great way to show our respect for the family. Does anybody have any questions about that? Okay, thank you. Oh, well, while I'm here, always got to talk about money. As you know, you guys voted that dues would be paid in advance, like we used to do it for so many years. Some of you have already done that, and I appreciate that. PayPal has been blowing up with that as well. But to be a member in good standing for the draft for 2022, you've got to pay your dues by the end of the year. Certainly, you have until December 31st to do that, but it'd be certainly more convenient if you do that while we're still having meetings. And we'll have another meeting past this one, and you can, on November 8th, and you can do that then, or you can certainly do it on PayPal, which is the most convenient way. If you make it, if you write a check, it's $35 to the Tyler chapter. Otherwise, I'll take money or do it on PayPal. If you have any questions about that, please ask as well. I appreciate that.
All right. You ready?
Yeah.
All right.
I'll be quick. So just to add a little bit on Mike's note on Greg. So Greg worked 8 state championships for the Tyler chapter. His first in 1998, and then worked his first as a crew chief in 2009. So definitely a big part of where we are today. There's some other in the room that are definitely with, you know, Mike being a long time, Andy Dunklin, some longtime members of the chapter that you might not see every day, but definitely are a big reason of the success and why we're in the position we are across the state as a chapter. So when we lose someone like that, it's definitely tough. We've lost too many in the past few years for various reasons, and someone of that magnitude is definitely you know, a big loss for the chapter and a big loss for officiating across the state. So. Lastly, so we're getting ready for playoffs. We're going into our last couple of games, so be on your A game, please. We had a crew chief meeting, the last chapter meeting, and talked a lot about looking at your film. Primarily go back to the ones that you were evaluated on or reviewed on. Look at those notes from those evaluators. Make sure you've made those changes, adjusted your mechanics or your interpretation of the rule or whatever the scenario may be, to make sure that when we get into the playoffs, we're at our best as well. That's the challenge for the coaches and the athletes on the field, and that should be a challenge for us as well. So be sure to look at the film, make sure you've implemented those changes if where needed, and amplified the good things that were called out on those reviews, and just use that to your advantage as a crew. And if you're not on a crew, be ready. So for example, this week we've got 8 7-man crews on the field. We have 5 full-time 7. We have 3 other that were drafted for 7-man. So we're down to basically no available officials from a sub perspective to fill in. It's going to be a challenge. So I say that to say, if you're not on a crew, there's a high probability you may get called on to work. So just you make yourself ready. If you don't have any film and you'd like to look at some film to see comments, reach out to me. I'd be happy to share mine with you so you can see that. So. All in all, good work. Keep it up. Very, very limited. Continue to get very good feedback and very, very limited negative feedback. I don't know if they're just glad we're there or if I guess you guys are just doing a hell of a job. So keep it up. Any questions, please let me know. Thanks.
All right. Stephen, you have anything? All right, so this week we're pretty good. Next week we may have some changes coming your way. All right, and if you can't make an assignment, make sure that you let him know or the co-officials know that you're with so they can prepare and be ready for that. All right. I guess we'll open up the floor for nominations. We'll start off with treasurer. So, is there any nomination for treasurer? I have a nomination for Mike Jones. Any others? There's a motion for nomination cease. All those in favor say aye or raise your hand. Opposed? None. Motion passes. So it looks like Mike's got another few years to go. All right. Now we'll take nominations from the floor for sub-varsity assigning secretary. that was filled by Stephen O'Neill this past year. So we'll take nominations. Got a nomination for Stephen. All right. Motion and nomination cease. All those in favor, say aye. Raise your hand. Opposed? None. All right. Now we're going to do president. This is going to be my last year as president. I'm retiring from high school football. So we're going to let somebody else come up and continue going. So now with that said, take nominations for president. Lance Mathis. Motion nomination cease. All those in favor, raise your hand. Opposed? All right. So Lance, do you accept the nomination? All right. So with that, now we get to nominate a vice president from the floor, because he has accepted the nominations for president, and so in our new bylaws, we will fill his spot from the floor. So, John Teague, is he here? Have you talked to him? Oh, he's closing on a house, so he couldn't make it. So John Teague. Any other? All right, motion nomination cease. All right. All those in favor of nomination cease, raise your hand. Opposed? None. Motion passes. All right. Well, that was easy enough. So we've got uncontested across the board, so we can probably bypass the speeches unless y'all want them next week or the 8th. Some of y'all, they got long last time, so anyway, congratulations to you guys. So now, Lance? Yes. Yes, sorry. Yes, so John's term will be a one-year term. The rest of them are two-year terms, but John, since he's filling in because of this one situation, it'll be a one-year term. What were you saying? Oh, okay. I'm stepping down because I'm going to try to push into the college ranks a little bit harder and focus my effort there. And then I've got a couple of kids that are in junior high and high school, freshmen, so that's why I'm stepping down. So that's the reasoning there. Great guys, love all of you guys. I'll probably still show up to some of the meetings just to come over and say hi, maybe stir up some trouble, I don't know. But anyway. Lance, training, or who's coming up? We're going to watch the CFO Week 8 from Steve Shaw. All right. He's getting the lights off.
And today we're presenting the 8th in our series of training videos for the 2021 season. And we're going to be focused on game action from the weekend of October 16th. Now, before we get into our plays, really good job of delivering performances last week. We did a great job overall, and I really appreciate that work. But we need to continue to deliver. And we need to do that by, number one, great pregame conferences. We've got to get our mind right when we're ready to walk out on that field. Number two, game management and communication. That is so important. And then finally, we have to do a great job, continue to do a great job with our player safety rules and especially targeting. We must deliver there. Now, one quick update on overtime or extra periods for this season. And remember, we made some adjustments to the rule for player health and safety. Namely, now in the second overtime period, a team that scores a touchdown, they must go for 2. And then in the third and subsequent overtimes, each team's possession series is a 1-play, 2-point try from the 3-yard line. So how are we doing? Well, we've had 474 games in FBS this year, and we've had 14 overtime games. So roughly that's 3% of our games go into extra periods. And of those 14 extra period games, one has gone to 4 overtimes. We've had one go to 3 overtimes. We've actually had 3 go into 2 overtimes, and the balance have all been 1 overtimes. So it's been good. We've had a winner in each of those. They've been exciting contests. And so we need to continue to deliver from our perspective if we go into overtime. So with that, let's get straight on into our plays. Our first play this week is a try for extra point. And we're going to see the motion man, number 5, he comes across the formation, and then he's going to catch a pass in the flat, try to turn it up and score. He's hit by a defender. The ball is going to come out, roll into the end zone, and then there's a scramble for the ball there, and number 20 of the offense is ultimately going to come up with the ball. And just to add to the play, there's a call by our referee for roughing the passer against the defense. Now, as we go back and break the action of number 5 down, he completes the catch, and as we look down the goal line, we see the ball, no doubt, comes out before breaking the plane of the goal line. And as we follow the ball, it does not hit the pylon. And then number 3 of the defense is going to reach back in and touch the loose ball while his feet are out of bounds. And we get another view that supports the ball is out before the goal line. The defender reaches in from out of bounds to touch the ball before number 20 recovers it. The end zone view confirms the runner was not out of bounds when he lost the ball, and the ball never hits the pylon. So the play is immediately dead when the defender touches the ball while the defender's out of bounds. And this is considered a fumble from the field of play into the end zone and then out of bounds in the end zone. And so in the normal game, this would be a touchback, but because this is a try and it's out of bounds in the end zone, the try is no good. Now, one other point of note, we have a rule obviously similar to our 4th down fumble rule on the try. So even if number 20 here recovered the ball in the end zone, the try would be unsuccessful. And finally, we're going to penalize the defense half the distance to the goal from the 3 to the 1.5 for roughing the passer, and the offense will repeat the try. A busy play. Play 2, we get a draw play by the offense, and the runner is going to be tackled after about a 7-yard gain. Now, there's no flag on the field, but replay is going to take a look at this tackle and ultimately stop the game to review the play for targeting. And what we're going to see is the runner's hit, but he's fighting for extra yardage, so he's not defenseless. And then number 29 of the defense comes across, lowers his head, leads with his head, and attacks and hits the runner in the helmet with the crown of his helmet. And as we look at the low end zone view, we can see there's no question that there's an indicator by the defender and the contact with the crown of the helmet to the opponent. So this is a foul for targeting that replay is going to create. And so this is good alert and excellent recognition by replay to put this targeting foul on. Play 3 is a reminder of how important our sideline demeanor is throughout the game. Now, what we see here is late in the game, and the coach of this team is winning the game by a large margin, 56-21. And what we see here is, I'm sure, very innocent, and great communication is always important with our head coach. And I'm quite confident that this official had great rapport with this coach on this day. But this might not look so lighthearted to the team that's way behind in this situation. And I put this on here not to pick on this official, but just as a reminder to us all to be totally professional at all times on the field. Assume your behavior is being evaluated at all times. Enjoy your relationship with the coach, but let's be careful not to give the wrong impression to the opposite sideline. Play 4 is a punt play, and we're going to see receiver number 18 gives a fair catch signal, muffs the punt, and then ultimately catches the ball and then is taken down by defender number 1. And then we're going to see the back judge. He comes forward and he throws his marker. Now, we know that by rule, if a Team B player makes a valid fair catch signal, the unimpeded opportunity to catch a free or scrimmage kick continues if this player muffs the kick and still has an opportunity to complete the catch. And that's exactly what happened here. And then the no tackling provision is that no player of the kicking team shall tackle or block an opponent who has completed a fair catch. So we see that 18 muffs the punt, it stays in the air, and then he completes the catch, and then he's tackled. So this is a correct call for a dead ball personal foul. And this would only apply to a catch. If the ball touches the ground, then the player would have recovered it, and the provision of no tackling would not apply. But this was a catch after the muff, and so a correct call by our back judge. Good job. Play 5, we see the quarterback drop back with play action, and he's going to be hit in his throwing motion. We see the ball come out, and it looks like it drops incomplete, but the referee is ruling this is a fumble. Now, we see the officials continue to work the play. Number 2 of the offense is going to continue to play and go recover the ball, and then you see the umpire give the dead ball signal, signifying that the play is over. Now, as we go back and take a look at the action at the quarterback, and this is very tight as determining a pass or fumble, and we know that the rule states that any intentional forward motion of the passer's hand, not the arm, but the hand with the ball firmly in their control, starts a forward pass. And when we look at the close-up here, we see the defender hits the arm and firm control is lost just before the hand begins to move forward. So this is a correct call of a fumble, and replay confirms it is a fumble. Now, 2 final points of note. Number 1, it is very important for us in games that involve replay. If the referee is not sure, if you're sure, make your call. But if you're not sure, when in question as to a pass or fumble, let the action play out rather than killing the play. Rule fumble and keep play alive with replay here. And the second thing is, and we see this now, a lot of coaches are coaching their players to go get a loose ball, really for instant replay and recoveries in the immediate continuing action. But good job on this play. Play 6, we get a quick throw out into the flat. We're going to see 11 turn it upfield, and then we're going to correctly rule that he fumbles, and the defense, number 23, is going to come out with the ball, and he's going to head for the end zone. Now, live, we see the action at the goal line. Maybe the ball comes out, but the line judge is going to rule that the runner was out of bounds at the 3. Now, before we go back and take a look at all the details, I want to look at the all 22, and we're going to see that after the fumble, the line judge really just drifts down the field. But remember, when we have a turnover like this, we're going to flip responsibilities, and the line of scrimmage officials now have goal line. So we need to be urgent in getting there. And unfortunately, we're about the 13-yard line when the action at the pylon goes down. And now as we go back and look at the tight shots, we see from behind the runner that the right foot stays in bounds. The ball comes loose just before the runner's right hand touches out of bounds. And from the end zone shot, not only can we see the right foot in and the ball out before the right hand down, but the ball is out before it crosses the plane of the goal line. So we have a fumble in the field of play into and out of the end zone. So replay comes in. They're going to overturn the ruling on the field here. They're going to make it a touchback, and Team A is going to have the ball 1st and 10 at their own 20. So I know these tight plays are tough, but let's work hard to get to the goal line on this type action. Play 7, we have a 4th and 1 situation in the red zone. And as we pause it just before the snap, we're snapping from the 10, and we're going to see the gold line signifying the first down line at the 9. But always remember, when TV puts on this line, it's an approximation. And we get another view of the chains, and we can see that really the line to gain is inside the 9 on this play. And that is the official line to gain. Now, as we watch the play, the quarterback stacked up, and then he surges to the right and gets near and really maybe to the 9-yard line. And the line judge is coming in hard with the spot. And then we're going to see number 4 of the defense after the play slap the ball away from the quarterback and then really slap it away from the play. And we're going to get a flag from our line judge for unsportsmanlike conduct. And this is a dead ball foul, and we get a good announcement by the referee.
After the play was over, unsportsmanlike conduct, defense number 4. That penalty enforced based on the results of the measurement.
Now, before we look at the measurement, I want to discuss the line judge mechanics on this play. So this is a good call for a dead ball and sportsmanlike conduct foul. But we can see that we've got a good spot, and then we give up. We lose our spot, and we move back, and that's all on account of the foul. Remember, this is 4th down. Nothing else here is more important than the spot, so stay firm with your spot. But we measure, we can see that the ball is short. We're going to turn the ball over to the defense. Then we penalize them half the distance to the goal for the Unsportsmanlike Conduct Act, and it'll be 1st and 10 for the defensive team. Play 8, we get a great illustration of our toe heel rule. Now, our quarterback drops back. He's going to throw long down the boundary, and receiver number 12 is going to make a great play on the ball, and the ruling on the field is a catch. Now, replay is going to come in and take a look at this, and our first view from the end zone behind the offense, you're going to see number 12. He goes up and gains firm control of the ball while he's airborne. And as he tries to get a body part down, we see the toes of the left foot come down inbounds, but in the normal stepping motion, we see the heel hit out of bounds. Now, the receiver does control the ball as he goes to the ground, but as we look again at the left foot from behind, we see that the toe is in, but the heel comes down out of bounds. And so we know that by rule, it's an incomplete pass if the continuous toe-heel touching is part of a single process. And so if he taps the toe or if he drags it, that's okay. But a toe heel or a heel toe in one continuous motion and one part hits out of bounds is considered out of bounds. So good job overturning this to an incomplete pass. Play 9 is a punt play, and we see that receiver number 1 is going to give a fair catch signal. The punt hits the ground, bounces up high, and then we see the receiver and a kicking team player come together, and the kicking team player ultimately winds up with the ball. Now, let's talk through the options here. First, we know that the fair catch provisions are off since the ball hit the ground, but the receivers have still given their right to advance up. As soon as they gain possession, the ball would be dead. And we could still have illegal touching by the kicking team if they were to touch it. And if the receivers touch the ball without possession, then it's a live ball. And as we take a look at this, the ruling on the field was the ball belongs to the receivers. And I would support that based on what we're going to see on video. If we look closely at this, it's very, very difficult to tell. Did number 28 of the kicking team touch the ball first? I think maybe he did, but it can't tell conclusively in video. And did number 1 of the receiving team possess the ball? Really not much time for possession. Or did he just touch it before 28 took the ball? So after review, this play was allowed to stand, and I think we handled it as well as we could and gave the ball to the receiving team. But the bottom line here, we're seeing a lot more aggressive plays like this on punts, so we must stay on high alert and really be prepared to handle almost anything on any type kick. So make sure we cover kick situations in our pregame well. Our last play this week is a false start versus defensive offside play. And now we see that the right guard, number 70, is going to jump, and we get 2 flags, one from the umpire, one from the line judge, and they're going to come together with the referee to talk this thing through. And so the first thing that we see is the defense entered the neutral zone, which is true, and that caused the offensive player to react, which is also true. And then we're going to get a good announcement from the referee.
Offside. Defense entered the neutral zone, causing the offense to react. Half the distance to the goal, 1st down.
But as we go back and take a look at this from the end zone, we're going to see that number 70 flinches, and that's what causes the defense to come into the neutral zone. And then number 70 is going to react to the defensive player coming in the neutral zone. So this is a very difficult play. I think we would all agree that the flinch creates the false start by number 70. But the key here is getting communication and all the information in the discussion. And so maybe the center judge or the referee could bring in information about the flinch into the discussion. It's very difficult for the line judge to see it. Maybe the umpire could see it. But great communication is the only way we can get this call correct. So discuss this together in your crew. How would you handle this type play? Well, that's it for our plays this week. And now let's all get ready to get prepared to go have a great game. Let's focus on the task at hand. Don't let all the things swirling around our game get in our minds. We need 60 minutes of concentration on the game this week. Quality fouls, make it be there. Let's count players every down. Be crisp in all we do, and always display your integrity, courage, and poise. That is the key. And finally, let's be mentally and physically prepared to work the game. Stay safe and healthy, and best of luck to all this week.
All right. Is there anything else gonna? No? All right. Hey, keep up the good work, guys. The last couple of weeks, we're having good comments from coaches, like Jeremy said. Keep up the good work. Bring your A game, every game, and study. Be prepared like these guys. I know they've got replay to help them out, but these are great discussion questions for you and your crew to see who could help with those situations when you're on the field. All right. Anything else? Nope. All right. We're dismissed.